Whenever we explain something, we always start from the most simple thing. And in this case of cooperation agreements, and in fact, talking about contractual cooperation agreements, the most simple one is the long-run contracts. Long-run contracts is established between two companies or many companies, and it deals with the development of joint activities in the long run. We are doing things together in the long run. There are many possibilities. First of all, it's the most simple way of cooperation available. Normally it's focused. Normally it's focused on a narrow range of activities. We do this, you do that. Easy. Normally it's bilateral between two companies, one and another. Normally it's balanced. I mean, the relationship between the two companies is balanced and no one is ruling that. But I say normally, and the example I am going to give you is not exactly so balanced, okay? And firms are normally complementary. I mean, we cooperate because the things I can do are the things that you normally are not especially good at, or you don't do them, or so on, okay? Let me tell you that not every contract in the long run is cooperation. And here I am going to give you an example that will help you understand. Well, Mercadona is the main food and basic products retailer in Spain right now, considering the market share. Okay, Mercadona has got two different kinds of contracts with their suppliers. Well, in fact, they have four, but I am going to focus on two. Okay, on two of them. So the suppliers of Mercadona can have a normal long-run contract, for instance, Coca-Cola. Okay, so Coca-Cola supplies Mercadona with Coca-Cola that is going to be sold at Mercadona supermarkets, and that's all. Coca-Cola gives the product, Mercadona pays. This is the relationship they have got. Okay, so it's not deeper than that. On the other hand, in some other cases, Mercadona has got something they call interproveedores, intersuppliers, and these intersuppliers are also cooperating, are also working with Mercadona in the long run, but the relationship is much deeper. What do I mean by this? Well, when Mercadona carries out market research and detects that their customers could be willing to get a particular kind of product, Mercadona asks the intersuppliers to develop that product. Okay, so I think that people would like to have cheese which is mixed with pineapple, for instance, which is a real example. Okay, so the supplier of cheese of Mercadona creates a cheese with including pineapple. The thing is that these intersuppliers are working with families of products, okay, families of products. So normally one intersupplier works with all the bread products, another with all the vegetable products, another with all the, that's it, okay? So the interesting thing is that Mercadona has got access to the accounts of these intersuppliers, and they both agree the level of margin they need to have, because Mercadona is granting them big amount of sales. So, in fact, they trust each other. Let me tell you that this is not completely balanced. Obviously, I mean, Mercadona has got more power in this relationship. But on the other hand, well, each part gives its main resources and capabilities to the cooperation. Well, this cooperation agreement is so deep that, in fact, if any of the parts, if the supplier or Mercadona want to break the agreement, there's a period of 3 years in advance they have to tell. So the supplier says, okay, I am not going to supply you anymore, but for 3 years I have to go on supplying. Unless Mercadona rejects this and say, okay, no, 1 year and a half would be enough or something like that. But in order to start, you are committed to keep the relationship for 3 years. Also, in the opposite sense, if Mercadona decides to break up with a supplier. What else? Well, outsourcing. In fact, I'm calling it here outsourcing, but it's the most generic name is subcontracting, okay? But the thing is that, well, subcontracting is when a firm hires a specialized partner to carry out some activities or processes, a particular part of their activities or order processes. The difference between subcontracting and outsourcing is that you can subcontract a firm if you are starting, if you have never delivered it or whatever, okay? Theoretically, outsourcing means that you were doing it yourself and you decide to externalize the activity after being doing it yourself. So you outsource. You look outside of the firm for the source. But the thing is that practically, in real world, it's always called outsourcing as a generic. So these firms which do this, which do some specific part for another company, they are called outsourcing companies, not subcontracting companies or something like that. They are normally called outsourcing companies. Well, which are the potential advantages of outsourcing? First of all, cost reduction. Cost reduction, why? Well, you are leaving a particular task of your firm in the hands of a company which is specialized on it. Normally, this company gains economies of scale, experience effect, so they have a lower cost for the same activity. For instance, when Universidad de Juan Carlos leaves the copy service for Konica Minolta is a company which is specialized on copy services for many companies. So in fact, the unitary costs of Konica Minolta are going to be lower, and this is going to be translated into a lower unitary cost for Universidad de Juan Carlos. On the other hand, Konica Minolta, or any outsourcing company, has got the resources to carry out the activity involved, and Universidad de Juan Carlos doesn't need to have copying machines or so on. Universidad de Juan Carlos is not specialized in copying, but Konica Minolta is. They have got the machines, they have got the people for maintenance, they have got the experience. That's it, okay? So it allows firms to focus on their competences. Why should a university be really good at copying documents? This is absurd. But Konica Minolta is really good at copying documents, so you can focus on your real competences, on your real goal. Also, I am moving to the last one, because traditionally, outsourcing was considered a way to reduce the costs. But in fact, when you are cooperating with a company which is specialized on something, it also can contribute to have a better quality. What's the meaning of this? Obviously, if university is not specialized on copying services, it's not going to stress a lot on it. But Konica Minolta is specialized on that, so it's going to give you the best possible quality about that. Do you remember what I told you about the roofs and about Grupo Antolin and Fiat Chrysler? Okay, Grupo Antolin is specialized on roofs. So even if Fiat Chrysler would want independently, they couldn't create a roof with such a big quality as Grupo Antolin. So Grupo Antolin grants not only cost reduction, but quality. Okay? So firms are complementary. I do this, you do that, I'm good at this, you're good at that, Finally, you can grant additional capacity in the short run. What's the meaning of this? Well, this is a kind of subcontracting which was created even in the Middle Ages, and it was called putting out. The thing is that sometimes you go to a firm and you ask them for something, and they haven't got sufficient capacity at that moment, so they ask another firm which belongs to the same industry, sometimes even a competitor, say, okay, I've got more work than I can afford, than I can assume, so I am going to give you some part of this work. Do you agree? Yes. That's great. Okay. So in the future, when I have no work and you have got plenty, you can give me. This happens right now, not very typical, but happens sometimes in the hotel industry, when a hotel is full or close to be full, and they are, some people ask them for new rooms and so on, so they call some other hotels, and which are competitors, say, okay, I've got some clients, some additional clients, if you want, I'm going to give you those clients. Okay. Spin-off is a particular kind of outsourcing. What's a spin-off? Well, you know TV series, and you know Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is a spin-off of Breaking Bad. What's a spin-off in a TV series? It's when one of the characters, okay, results attractive to the audience, so the producers decide to create a new TV series based on that character. So they create Better Call Saul because this character in Breaking Bad was attractive and interesting for people, and they thought there was a market, and there was, obviously. Okay, so the thing is that spin-off in business, in the business world, means that some workers of a company are fostered, are promoted to leave the company and go on delivering their activities outside. I mean, you are doing some activity for a company inside it. You are a specialized group. Well, these specialized people have said, okay, we want to reduce the size of the company. So we foster you, we finance you to leave the company, but we are going to hire you to go on doing the same thing, but from outside. So this is frequently done, in fact, in many companies. Okay, let me tell you that outsourcing and especially subcontracting in Spain had got a bad reputation. Why? Because in many occasions, this subcontractation was just based on costs, and it didn't deal with quality at all. It wasn't looking for a specialized partner or something like that. It was just about reducing costs, and companies hired a company which hired another company which hired another company. So in fact, there was a phenomenon called Cascade Subcontracting. In fact, modernly, there are really important companies such as the one I give you as an example, Indra, which is dealing with subcontracting. With subcontracting, in the case of Indra, IT services, IT management services. So many important companies, big banks and this kind of, okay, they think that they are not specialized on information systems. So they call companies like Indra or Capgemini or some others to do this for them, to give them IT solutions and IT systems. And in fact, these companies are much better than the bank could ever be, okay, when dealing with this kind of situations. In fact, Indra has received several several awards for being one of the best companies and sometimes the best company when dealing with externalizing IT system, with outsourcing IT systems. Okay, so, well, this is about long-range contracts and outsourcing.